Alright, good evening everybody. Get rid of this crap behind me. Welcome to the New Talk podcast. Stumble in, the ultimate new learning channel for everybody. And of course here we have lots of fun, but at the same time we also like to educate. And tonight is no different. I see a couple of you out there. Hello, I know we have several more joining us, but the show must get started. So, on the other end, I have waiting patiently. I'll introduce him very soon. None other than our very own Argent, which I will bring him on momentarily. But first, let's get started. So, of course, unlike the music show, this is a talk show where we talk about pretty much everything and anything that doesn't have to do with politics. But sometimes the topics can be more serious. Sometimes they can be a lot of fun and weird and bizarre. But tonight, we really wanted to do something that I think affects everybody personally. You can't help but avoid it. If you watch TV, if you basically breathe, go to the store, or what have you. And that is drugs. But not the kind you're thinking. The kind that's promoted with all this propaganda on TV. We see it all the time. But what we're going to share with you guys is how many times it's actually shown and the actual disgusting amount of money spent on this. So our good friend John took the liberty of actually jotting all of this information down, which I will share with you. I did a screen record. So you guys are going to be blown away as to what we have to share. Let me see. You have a doubling delay. I do? Okay, hold on. All right, tell me if that went away, John. Oh, it's just you? Okay. All right. John, you can stop the texting and come online now and join us. Everybody, let's welcome Argent. He is on air with me right now. John, you there? Let's see if John can hear me. I hope John...
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. All right. Can everybody hear John?
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm getting a total delay, but I can work with it. I bet it's just like a... Yep.
Okay, John, do you have...
Everything's delayed.
Yeah, you have your computer sound on as well? Like, are you watching the show with the sound on? That's probably why.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's why. Yeah, because I'm on the speaker with you, and so the sound's coming back through your show in the phone. But if you can work with it, I can work with it.
Should I switch to the phone only?
Yeah, I would. Yep. This is the great thing about live shows.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
While John is doing that, let me see here. Oh, look at that. We got more people. So I'm going to try to do this. It's not like the music show where I get bombarded with a ton of text all at once. But, all right, you guys can hear John. That's awesome. Loud and clear. Good. Hey, JJ. We got Belle, Connie, Kathy in there. I see Lois. Of course, John. I just said hi to you. There's another one I see in here. Well, not the other John. He's obviously on the phone with me right now. So what's interesting about tonight, too, is we have... It kind of falls in line with the show that we're going to be doing in a few weeks, the parody. I'm going to be playing some funny parodies about these drugs, about commercials. No. Oh, no text? Some reason this text is tiny, 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 tiny on my screen. Let me just expand this a little bit, guys. I gotta see here. There we go. Okay, that's better. So, just by a show of hands, you guys can do an emoji or say yes or whatever. How many of you out there see ads for prescription drugs on a daily basis? Say you're watching your favorite TV show or something like that. There was. My hands are printing out the text. Yeah, everywhere, right? Yeah. Well, we're going to share with you how many times you actually see it, but you probably don't realize it because you see it so often. And then there's some really sad things behind the push to advertise these drugs. Now, I don't know if John's back yet or not. I don't hear him. I know he was trying to fix his end because he was getting a delay on the computer. I did have him on. I'm sure he'll come back once he figures it out. Yeah, he was getting a delay because he had his sound system on and he was watching the show live, so he was getting some feedback to his thing. But while I'm waiting for John here, and John was really excited about doing this because now I can't see any of you guys' text right now. I have another screen open, so if you're trying to get my attention, I won't be able to see it. But John was really excited about doing this because him and I talked about doing some shows and some things of interest. This happened to be one of them that really irks him. And he's very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to use excited because that's understating it. But I would say enthralled. John is overzealous about this topic. There's something about it, and it goes more into just the advertising and pushing drugs on TV. For John, it's a lot more, and hopefully he can get his sound right, and he can get back on with us. But I'm going to read something to you guys, okay? And these are taken from, and I'm going to actually put, they're on the main channel, but I'm going to put these links, kind of like what we do in the music channel. I'm going to put these in the actual text so you guys can see them. Okay, this here comes from the site Ralph Friedley, and I'm going to put it right here for you guys. Let me see. Okay. John, can you still hear me? I don't know what happened to John. I lost him. I'm going to try to read some of what you guys are saying. YouTube. Evil. It shouldn't, Johnny. I know. So that is a link. Everything that I'm going to read to you and that we're going to go over is all link related. We got it from the actual source itself. Nothing is in my opinion. Only what I feel and what I think of certain things I will state. It's in my opinion, but other than that, the stats and everything that I'm going to read and share with you guys, they're actual facts and studies done. Several studies that we got. Now this one here, what I found really interesting, guys, is that you would think this is prominent throughout the world. This epidemic with, prescription drug commercials and ads. Here's the amazing stat. It's not. There's only 2 countries to allow this. Does anybody know what 2 countries do this? That actually allow big pharma, as you will, to push ads on TV. Just 2 countries. Anybody know? Okay, you have no idea the amount of money. When I read it to you guys, it's going to blow your mind. Kathy said U.S., Canada, All right, you got one right. U.S. is one. England, Canada. Okay, so 2 countries, direct-to-consumer prescription drug advertising. That is New Zealand and the United States. And it goes on to say that it seems the majority of commercials on TV presently are advertising drugs to treat a multitude of trumped up, hence the word trumped up, diseases in order to make even more billions with a B for today's wealthy pharmaceutical companies. And the slick multi-page ads that have invaded all of our popular magazines raises the same questions. Why are drug companies allowed to advertise this way directly to us? That's direct to consumer, DTC. And they're always talking about going to your doctor, right? About a certain drug, about a certain treatment, how one drug can treat a multitude of symptoms or diseases that most readers and viewers have never heard of. That's the other part that gets me. I'm going to go back to the chat right here. So what I just read to you is in that article from the link I sent in there. I don't know what happened to John. I think I might have lost him. I'm going to try getting John back on the phone again. Hold on, guys. Let's see if he's... That happens with live stuff.
Hello.
All right, there he is. He's back. Okay. So, John, I was just reading the article that I sent the link in for, and I was telling everybody how excited you were about this particular subject. And I was just reading to them about how United States and New Zealand are the only 2 countries that allow this type of push for prescription drug advertisement.
Yes.
Yep.
It's amazing.
And in that article, it also read how you hear that one pill cures multitude of things from a certain disease. A lot of people, this is the other thing that cracks me up. Did you ever notice that all of a sudden there's a new disease, there's a new term for something? Like you've never heard of this disease before, right?
Right.
It's shortened. Like, do you have ATCF? And you're like, what the hell is ATCF?
Yep. Or ask your doctor about, some crazy specialist doctor like they think you go to every day. You don't, and you wonder who in the heck is that? I never call a doctor about that. I never even heard of a doctor like that. Some of these things they come up with, it's like they think you're the doctor or something instead of the patient.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is like what do they? How do they get? Or like, where do they come up with like all of these names? What do they call them? Acronyms. And all of a sudden, there's this new disease. But what is the most prominent key thing when you're listening to these drugs? What is probably like the number one thing it may be able to help you do?
Well, to me, the whole thing is all about advertising for the pharmaceutical company. That's what it's all about. In the old days, this is my theory, and I think it's right. I even asked my doctor about it. In the old days, they in order for the pharmaceutical companies to get a drug on the market, they had to sell the concept and the idea of whether it was viable to the doctors or the medical professionals. And so they had to actually have people in coming door to door to the doctor's office and selling them on this when they could find the time to get an interview with the doctor or the medical staff. Mm-hmm. And that's the way it used to work, because there was medical professional talking to another medical professional. But somewhere along the line, the pharmaceutical companies got this brainstorm that we could go let's get the customer to become the salesperson. And so now that's why we see all these advertisements on TV. They're telling you, ask your doctor. And it's a lot easier for the doctor because they don't have to get interviewed by some salesperson in the middle of their day. And the pharmaceutical company counts on the people to go there and beg their doctor for this. I saw it on TV. It must be good for me. Can I have some? And that's what happens is that they go to the doctors and they beg for something. And the doctor can either say yay or nay, but is absolved of having any kind of sales pitch thrown at him. He just, it just, that's the way it works. And so they've got us doing their sales work for them for every little thing that comes up. And I think it's terrible.
Well, you're right. And one of the key takeaways, actually, Kat answered it here, John, in text. I said, what's one of the biggest selling points that they say you may, when they're trying to sell this, right? One of those things is you may lose weight. So not only are they pushing on this new drug, all right, but it also may help you to lose weight.
It's like giving you a piece of candy.
Right.
That, this is going to taste good. You're going to like this.
88. Yeah. And let's be honest. 88%, I think it is. Last I checked, 88% of this country's population is obese. That's a huge number. So let's throw in the incentive along with this drug that may help you lose weight. But what you said earlier, though, is funny because in that link that I sent, before 1997, John, I don't know if you're aware of this, there were no drug commercials on television.
Right.
Before 1997. And in fact, I'm going to do this really quick. I'm going to, let me see here.
I mean, other than Alka-Seltzer and stuff like that.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, John, I'm going to keep that mic on, but I'm going to play this for everybody right here. This is an ad going back years, and it's actually a pretty funny ad, but I'm going to play this. So everybody hold on 1 second.
Morning, Miss Waters. Miss Waters, you feeling all right?
Sore throat. I wish I'd stayed in bed.
Oh. Try these. They work for me. Son?
When a sore throat has you wishing you'd stayed in bed, get First Aid. Spectracin T from Squibb. First Aid for minor sore throats due to colds. Now available without a prescription, with a pain-killing anesthetic doctors prescribe. Spectracin T relieves the pain fast.
Or your floor, Miss Waters. You sure you want to go to work like that? I mean, your throat?
I feel better, much better. Oh, and thanks for the Spectracin tea. Going out?
I have just the thing for your sore throat.
Oh, good. How did you know I have a sore throat?
Now, Joe, what do you think of that ad?
Yeah. They make it sound like it's fun and that's really just a sore throat tablet. It really is benign compared to the other stuff they're trying to sell today. But it's sad because, like you said before, the contraindications that they talk about, they spend more time talking about them than they do what it cures. They give you, but they make sure you're smiling and you're on a picnic, you're leaving your place of work to run into the street and join the club and buy these drugs.
So
it's crazy.
Well, you and I were talking about that, right? Where the ridiculous part about these drug commercials, and I'm going to play a clip. It's actually a screenshot, but I videoed it of every single one that you wrote down, and I numbered them.
Oh, yeah. I alphabetized them.
It's ridiculous. But what's so stupid and really aggravates me about these friggin' commercials when you're watching them, like what you just said, right? It shows a family, they're throwing a frisbee with the dog, having a cookout.
Yeah.
And I think you and I agree on this particular commercial. I forget what the heck drug it is, but it's they're all walking down the street,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have this one woman. She's doing painting, right? She takes off
Yeah.
her apron, joins the crowd. Another dude is in his
Yeah.
business or a coffee shop. He looks out the window. Oh, hey! Then just happens to meet up with his wife walking in the middle of the street. Then another guy looks like maybe he's working on the car with his kid or something.
Right. Yeah.
Dropped
Dropped everything and joined the club. That's what they're telling you.
Right, exactly. But that's,
Get in line. Get in line.
Get in line. And what's the old
You'll
thing
be
that was-
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's that? Subliminal messaging or something? I can't even pronounce it.
Well, that's out and out. It is subliminal in a way. It really is, unless you're smart enough to look at it and see it for what it is. And a lot of people aren't. And that's what makes it so dangerous, is because they're actually using this joyous thing, picnics and all kinds of stuff that they use to make you think that, you've got to have this because this will make you happy and it'll make them rich.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't need half of this stuff, I don't think. I think it is way overkill, this stuff. If we took every drug that they put on TV, we would be crazy. I took down and I sat down for an hour at the news time. And that's when they're mostly shown at news time, of all things. I sat down and watched the news for an hour, and I actually wrote down every single drug that was being shown during that hour, just that hour on TV, because I knew there was so many of them that come and go. 18. I got 18 drugs commercials in 1 hour of TV viewing.
Oh,
and the list that I sent you was compiled over only a 2-day period of the drugs, and from A to Z, I don't even remember how many there were, but you can't fill it on one page.
I'm going to play a clip of what John was just talking about, what he did for 2 days. Now, you divide this and I'm sure he didn't watch TV 24 hours, so this is only in the amount of time that he sat there, and he did this specifically because he wanted to see just how many times they advertise. And then once I show you this, I'm going to go over some numbers, John, to what they spend and make and what it caps and the target audience. It's disgusting. But this is what you did. I took the liberty of numbering them, and again, I had narrated it, but I put them into the order. This is what John did. You're going to hear me narrating in the background, but this is 2 days. And again, this is not him sitting in front of the TV for 20 hours straight. Okay?
Exactly.
So this is the list that John wrote down in that short duration. All right? It's quick, so let's just take a look. We can go back to it after again, but here it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a scroll of just the commercial that have the drugs on them, from the pharmacy companies or wherever, big pharma, call it what you may, but what I'm doing is a video screenshot, and I'm going to scroll down here. You can see where John took, I believe it was 2 days. Let's scroll. I'll go slow. What you're going to notice is each one is numbered. Each name is separate. Now keep in mind, some of the drug companies own or manufactured several of these. Which ones, we don't know. But this is just a span of 2 days of what is on TV while you're watching. And as you can see here, John said these were found all together over a 2-day period. Scroll back up just to kind of give you guys an idea. Again, commercials during peak times of TV. And then we're going to share some numbers with you. But that's
fed
pretty
on
pathetic.
TV nowadays.
Yeah. Now, I just played that for you guys, and that was within a short span. Those are actual commercial ads that come on the TV during the short period of time that he was watching TV. And he specifically probably spent a little more time just to kind of see, John, how many actual ads would come up. I don't know how you, did that process. Yeah, Kathy wrote, I didn't see marijuana. Well,
that's a good point, Kathy, because that's on there too, and you're right. That's a good point, but I didn't consider that one of the because it's in a different class, or at least legally. That's the way they're looking at it. So I didn't even count that. I'm just counting the pharmaceuticals you have to get a prescription for, and a lot of times you don't have to with marijuana these days. The laws have changed a lot, but. Not saying that I'm for or against that. I'm just saying that that's the way it is, and so it's different. They don't have to advertise as much. They advertise because it's a new thing. But it's not. They're not pushing it on anybody like the pharmaceuticals are. I don't think.
No,
not yet.
Well, like in my state, Massachusetts, and no, Judy, it's not allowed in your country. It's not allowed in any other country but United States and New Zealand.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because Judy said they don't get those there. Yeah. But in my state, Massachusetts, it's illegal. So here's the messed up part about all this crap. For example, all right, so Kat mentioned marijuana. It's legalized on a state level.
Yeah.
Federally, though, it's still illegal.
Yeah.
Which I know it's kind of hard to understand for many people. But on a federal level, it's still a crime. Now, in my state, you can go into a organic shop, whatever they call them, and you can buy legal medicinal marijuana. You can get a license for it, right? As long as you're allowed to grow, I think, 6 or 7 plants per person in each household. You can legally grow it.
And it's really wild because where I live, it's legal. And what they've done is, if you go down, I used to laugh because you go down the street and you see, here's the Dollar General, and you go two feet further and there's another one. I mean, that's the way it is when, with some of these things that pop up like flies. Well, that's the way it is with these shops. I swear I have corners on my, where I live here in Groveland, where there's one on every single corner, there's a different marijuana shop. Or I don't know what they'll call it, marijuana, head shop, whatever they're calling it these days. I never walked into one. But that's what, and I'm thinking to myself, is there that much of a market for this stuff? Yeah. I mean, on every corner, like gas stations.
Yeah. well, here's the thing, right? Marijuana, now my son, he's got a medicinal card as well. I think, Kat, you said your sister does. The irony of that, though, is what is, in my opinion, what is the difference besides the unregulated law now versus what they're pushing on TV?
Right.
So meaning, in other words, they push these drugs on TV, but if you... Like, they just classified, what is it, gabapentin now is classified as an addictive substance. So it's now under the same class as, say, an oxycodone, a Percocet, or whatever, okay? Gabapentin, it's for nerve pain. But they now classified it as a controlled substance. So they can push all this crap on TV, drugs, but you can't walk into the pharmacy and say, I want gabapentin. Why?
Right. It's a pick and choose their poison. It may have medicinal purposes. Everything, I'm sure a lot of these drugs are good for people too. But what my complaint is that they're just inundated with it. We're being bombarded with that kind of information to the point where it's absurd. and you don't want to see drugs. All you see on TV is one drug commercial after another. There are three things that dominate: drug commercials, lawyer commercials to sue the hell out of the next guy sitting next to you, and there's another one. I forgot what it is now, but
insurance.
What is it?
Insurance.
There you go. Yeah, insurance. Yeah, that's it. Insurance, health insurance, and stuff like that. It is well not let it go, and it's like you get sick of it to the point where you really want to turn off the TV because the commercials are obnoxious. You can't see the program anyway, so you know it's just ridiculous.
You've got the drug commercials, right? So they're pushing the drugs, so you can get the drugs. You need the insurance, and then you need the attorney to sue the people that have the insurance that are taking the drugs.
Yes, and that's exactly the way it works. It's like everything goes back to money.
Right? Well, speaking of money, John, now some of you may recognize, I'm going to try to pronounce these names as best I can. But these are the top 10, okay? Cialis.
Cialis. Yes.
Oh, Cialis, okay. Cialis, yeah. $248 million spent on advertising. Now that's just advertising. They get a return on that, or else they wouldn't be spending that much. Meaning they triple their return. Think about that. Lyrica, $228 million. I don't even know how to pronounce this name. Eliquis. I never even heard of half.
Eliquis.
Yeah.
Eliquis.
$219 million spent. Viagra, shocker. $211.
Oh, you know how to spell that one.
Well, I know how to spell that one. Yeah. Viagra.
I love it.
You know that wonder pill. But before I move on,
no English there.
Yeah. But before I move on to this stiff pill, Viagra, what's amazing, again, about Viagra is this is another drug that is advertised on TV. Now they got knockoffs or whatever that do the same thing. But you know Viagra now, it's taken as a drug to get high. So they use it for other means for recreation. Not just for the arousal thing, but it's used in many different ways. And they know this.
Yeah.
Do you know how much an average...
Yeah.
If you don't have insurance, okay, how much an average Viagra pill costs?
Well, it depends on where you get them.
It's over $100 for one pill.
Yeah, well, that depends on where you get them. They could be 67 cents on one commercial on TV. You can get them the same thing for 67 cents, and that's what sells it.
Yep. Humira, $203 million. Latuda, $179 million. I don't know. XELJANZ. $160 million. Celebrex, $118 million. Abilify, $107 million. Gentex, $103 million.
Yeah.
Now, all of these...
What does that say about us as a society, honestly?
But here's the scary part about all of this, John, is that it's not just about pushing the drug commercial for Big Pharma, because everybody knows that they make billions, right?
Me too, Johnny.
Billions. So that's what it be. The
Yep.
most disturbing part about this is how it affects the kids. They talk about banning cartoons that are violence and all of this other stuff and everything else, but they're literally pushing what they consider, what the FDA approves on TV, which before 1997 it never was. But according to everything that I've read and what these studies show, It does more harm than good. And think about this. I'm going to play another thing here for you. How many of you out there, you don't even have to show your hands? Well, you can't. But I'll tell you, I'll share a personal experience with you. I was on this medication for years. I had a couple of seizures in my lifetime. Okay? To this day, they don't know why. The medication I was on for many, many years depleted 80% of my bone marrow. I had fragile bones. My spine had a crack in it. They had to put that plasma stuff in, John. I think I told you about that. I had a wedge in my spine.
Yeah.
Pretty much I've had 30,000 operations done on my teeth, fake teeth, porcelain teeth, this teeth, that tooth. It depleted my bone marrow to the point where I was frail.
He's a biotic man now.
I'm a biotic man.
Yeah.
But I was on that medication for so long, and unbeknownst to me, John, it literally started to deplete. My doctor, when I seen a neurologist years ago, thankfully they put me on something different, no side effects. It's been used for a long time. But the medication they had me on, and not only did it do that, it would cause depression, anxiety. So then they put me on another medication for that. Then another one to counteract the other medication I was on because I was too droopy. And I told John this, and I'm sharing this with you guys because I can tell you from my personal experience, and this is what pisses me off about these people. From my personal experience, I was on 7 different medications.
Yeah.
And I was in my 20s. 7.
That's nothing.
Okay?
I know people that can top that any day. Yeah.
Now, I was young.
Yeah.
And at the time, John, my prior marriage, my daughter was born. I had a very successful cleaning business. But I'll share something with you guys. I was so depressed, I ended up going into a treatment facility for 2 weeks. That's how depressed I was. When I finally was able to get out of that transition from being depressed and everything, and I met up with some really great people where I started learning about natural remedies, about health, about dietitian, all that stuff, nutrition, and I weaned myself off every single medication these idiots put me on. Depression was gone. I wasn't having the panic attacks. I wasn't getting the heart palpitations. I was active.
Well, I can hear what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying because I have had the exact same experience myself. I was on diabetic medication for years, and I was one of those people who, when you go to the doctor, I believe they're the professional, so I believe everything they said and everything the medical professional said. And they say you need to be on this, you need to take this, you need to take a breathing medicine, you need to huff on this for 10 minutes a day, and all that crap. I went through all this routine way back in, it was like 2012 to 13, around in there. And they were telling me I had COPD and that I had all these things that I didn't have any symptoms of. I didn't have any of the stuff that they were telling me I had. And I thought to myself, well, they know what's going on. And I went along with it like an idiot. And I, trusted the system, which is what most people want to do. And I got so sick of I couldn't believe how many medicines I take off one and they put me on another, and then it'd be growing and growing. And I was spending a fortune in my insurance money and in co-pays on medicines that I thought, what? I looked at my bathroom sink and I said, what the hell is all this medicine doing here? I mean, do I need all this? And I was feeling like crap, just like you. I felt terrible. It didn't help me any. It made me feel worse. So I literally stopped doing it myself. But at the same time, I'm going to say I'm not against people taking medicine when it's needed. I mean, medicine has its place, and I don't believe in the all natural, remedy theory either. I think that there's a lot of things that you can use that are more natural, and you shouldn't be getting into everything that's pharmaceutical. But literally, the scientists that come up with this stuff do it for a reason. But sometimes they're right, and sometimes they're wrong. And that's really not the issue as much as the fact that they try to overdo everything. They want you to take more of things than you need. And it's all because they're making money in some way. They all get kickbacks with this drug stuff they prescribe. And pharmaceuticals make money. The doctors that are keeping you as a patient, as a specialist, quote unquote, I fired all them too. I've never felt better in my life than when I got off of this crap. And I feel great now. I mean, I have my days like everybody does, but I've never felt better than when I stopped taking all the nasty stuff they kept saying I insisted I needed when I didn't.
Yes. Yep. I agree with you.
I'm a vitamin man. I take vitamins like crazy, and stuff that's good, that I think is good for to me, that make me feel good,
Well, I'm glad you said that, John, because what I really want to stress, too, is, for anybody watching or listening, again, what we say on our own things that have happened and stuff, that's based off our opinions and what we did. The things that I read in the studies, that's based on the facts that I'm giving and reading to you guys. Okay, there's a difference. Mm-hmm. What we're not trying to implement here is, we're not saying that medication within itself used the right way is bad. What we're saying is an overabundance of it.
Right.
And that the doctors, not all, but majority that I've been to, push pills. I can remember years ago when I would go to a doctor, Dr. Davis was his name. He was a great pediatrician.
That's what you said is right.
Yep, he was a great pediatrician. We'd go in there, do our check. We were in his office for good each, my brother, my sister, and myself, good 15, 20 minutes. Just, exam, talking away.
Yeah.
Go to a doctor today, or in fact, go to a hospital if, God forbid, you're sick. Now, I know each country is different. The United States is probably a little bit different than a lot of the other countries. But you're in and out. You don't, they give you a pill and you're on your way. Why? Statistically, it's cheaper for the insurance company than it is to actually have the full care that, and of course, I don't know the exact numbers, but from what I've read, it costs the insurance company X amount of dollars, say, John, to keep somebody at, say, hospital who did it and ran for 5 days, as opposed to, well, you know what? Give them this pill, send them home.
Yeah.
Right? And
when it's easy. It's easy for them to do that. That's why they do it.
It's very easy. And to your point, what you said earlier about the drugs and about, holistic or, other things, I, like you, if I showed everybody, and John knows, if I showed everybody the amount of natural things like beetroots, black seaweed, all that stuff, garlic, I take a crap ton, but I do it in a way that I manage it. Meaning, in other words...
But it's food. What you're describing is food.
Yes.
Yep.
But, again, it's not to say that it works for everybody. Everybody's body's different. And what I don't recommend to anybody is if you are in a situation like that, or you know somebody that's in a situation like that, not everybody can just cold turkey their pills. Number one, it's very dangerous. Don't ever try that. We stress that because these drugs today that are prescribed to you, they're not like the old school drugs. They're much, much different. So
Mm-hmm.
I hope nobody is, but if you are in a situation like that where you feel overwhelmed, yeah, definitely, and always get second opinions if you can.
Oh yeah.
Right?
When I went to my doctor, I told him I waited till I took my test. You know how you get your blood test.
Yes.
And I went and get have a regular test every at least once a month, and get all the stats for what your health is. And I did it without telling him, for month to month. And then when I saw the stats come out, and he looked at me and says, "Oh, these are good. They're looking good. These are looking good." I found out myself that, hey, then I'm doing something right. And then after a while, I looked at him. I said, "What I'm doing is I'm not taking this and not taking that, and I'm not taking this and I'm not taking that." And I said, this is where my health has come to. So I slowly, brought it to his attention that I was being too drugged is what's causing all the problems,
Right.
instead of, but it was under his nose. I'm not going to do anything on my own. I think that's dangerous. People shouldn't try to be their own physician. That's never a good idea. But you need to talk to your physician, about what's going on in your life and whether you're being overdrugged. They really don't know. They see so many people a day. They really don't have an individual in their head at all times. They've got too many people they have to see. So you have to bring up stuff, I think, when you're talking to your physician.
Yes, and everything, again, guys, and for those that are listening too, you have to, number one, be your own best advocate. Okay? I, and probably John, I think him and I, over the years, we realized him and I so much more alike. But I personally, my opinion, in my own experiences, I've learned how to go on the natural way of things. Now, that doesn't mean, John, that, like when I had E. coli, right, which is a horrible thing, I don't wish that upon anybody, but when I had E. coli, to this day, don't know how I got it, but point is, the emergency room doctor, and I quote, asked me what I was taking, and I was lost. I said, "What do you mean, what am I taking? I'm not taking anything." Like, what do you mean? Well, what am I taking? Like, drugs? She goes, "No, what do you take? What do you take to build up your immune system?" And so I began to explain to her. I said, one of the biggest things that I take, it's a liquid, it's a hydrogen peroxide food grade that you can take. A lot of people use it to clean their homes with or whatever, but I take it orally, but the food grade, right? So anyways, I'm explaining the other things, beetroots, somebody mentioned that, ginkgola, all that crap. She had told me that the severity of my E. coli, the amount of toxins that was in, because for men, the poison has to go somewhere, the bacteria, and for men, it goes to the lower extremities of where it can go, right? And not to get personal, but that's where it went. So she had told me that if it wasn't for the things that I was doing to assist my immune system, she said 9 out of 10, she goes, I would have been in critical condition because of the length that I waited. I was stubborn, I will admit that, stupid, but I was stubborn and I waited for a week. But it's not to say, again, that works for everybody. And I think somebody, John, asked a question, is natural drugs okay? I think you'd have to define what you mean by natural drug. You mean like cocaine, marijuana, stuff like that? I think Charlene asked that question. And compared to modern medicine.
Well, my theory about that is that all medicine is natural.
Right.
It's just put together. I mean, let's face it. There's nothing that's in any drug, the most complex drug, that doesn't come from nature. So, I mean, it's a matter of the scientists being smart enough to know what works to put a formula together to make a condition better or worse. Some work and some don't, but everything is natural. And if you think about it, some things just have more side effects. And, this idea of natural is, if you keep it simple, that makes sense. I mean, I'm of the opinion you should try to keep everything as little as possible. Take into your body only the things that your body's supposed to have. Mm-hmm. Air, food, and the right amounts and the right kind. And that's the kind of thing you need to do. We all fail at that, I know, most of the time. But that's what we should strive for,
Yeah, I agree. And I do know this, that you take, believe it or not, John, you take a cocoa leaf, you can take a tobacco leaf, okay? When I think Johnny said it, that this country's so backwards. Yeah, here's how backwards we are.
He's right.
Yep. With our drugs, especially the drugs that we just went over on TV. For instance, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you live in a different country, you know that you cannot buy our coffee and have it shipped to you. You want to know why? 9 out of 10, your country doesn't allow it. They don't allow our foods to be exported. They don't allow our coffee to be exported. John, I bet a lot of people didn't know that. The United States has such crap in the foods. We have a lot of chemicals in our coffee. And I love coffee. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows that. I'm sure a lot of you do.
Oh, yeah. I drink it every day.
But try... I don't recommend it, but if you want to prove to yourself, abruptly get up one morning, don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
See how fast it takes you to get a migraine and you start having withdrawals. Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
It's the number one drug in this country. Coffee.
Caffeine.
Yeah. Right? And the side effects, which, John, I'm going to play this. There's actually a couple of parodies, which kind of lines up for the show we got coming up in a couple of weeks, right? The mashup. There's two, but I want to play this. I think that you guys will get a kick out of this. Again, not everything is serious, but I found these two to be quite interesting, guys. So let's take a look at this first one. I titled this "Drug Side Effects Number 1." I'm going to play this. Here we go.
So you guys are familiar with those prescription drug commercials on TV. They always bring up some sort of situation, some sort of illness that, you may have or that somebody you know may have. Do you have trouble sleeping? Is insomnia keeping you up? Do you feel like you're not getting your 6 to 8 hours of sleep each night? And they always present to you their product like as if, oh, if you take this, it's the miracle cure. We're going to cure you of whatever. It'll go away immediately or shortly thereafter you take it. Now you can finally do something about it with Decivia. And then they tell you that all the good stuff that it does, it'll make this go away, it'll make you feel better, like I said before, and which is great, though. I mean, that's awesome. With Decivia, you can finally get that sleep you have been looking for. Decivia can easily correct the problem and finally give you the rest that you deserve. And everything is all nice and fine and dandy until they say this. Decivia is not for everyone. And have you noticed when they mention the side effects, it's always against some sort of peaceful or calm background or even random background. And it's almost like as if they're saying, oh yeah, there's side effects, but you know what, you're not gonna get them, and if you do, it's not that bad. Okay, so it comes with the territory. There's gonna be side effects, and some of them have a short list. Side effects may include nausea, dry mouth, itching, having trouble breathing, diarrhea. Some of them have a longer list. Additional side effects may include gambling, nightmares, drowsiness, hallucinations, an urge to go hug people, the growth of an extra limb, thinking you are Batman, switching from Apple to Android, and vice versa. And some of them have a really long list. Other more severe side effects may include an urge to begin a YouTube channel, turning into a zombie, Minecraft division, for women an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, For men, menstrual cramps and or PMS, alien abductions, contracting every phobia known to man, breaking a rift in the space-time continuum, and even death. And then that's when you realize, wait a second, aren't the side effects so much worse than the reason why I'm taking this in the first place? If you start believing that you are a Jedi Knight, please stop taking Decevia. If you happen to die, please contact your doctor immediately. People on planet Earth should not take Decevia. So the moral of the story is, if you're feeling bad, don't take something that's going to make you feel a lot worse, because we all know self-diagnosis is so much better than what the doctor tells us. Decevia, because we can get it.
So, I got one more to play for you guys because
that's so true. It shows how this is the thing about people are always wanting to have a pill. Take a pill. Cure that. It's as simple as that. And that's what they're trying to instill in you, that a pill will take care of your ills, no matter what it is. Gambling, whatever, it doesn't matter. Take a pill, we've got the answer for you in this. And that's what bothers me about these commercials, being inundated with them.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent.
It is deceit. It's deceitful. Yeah.
It is very deceitful. Matter of fact, Harvard came out with these studies. One of them is called Making Sense of Vitamins and Minerals. Speaking of, it says about, I'll send a link in there, it's quite long, but about half of all Americans routinely take dietary supplements. The most common ones are multivitamins and multimineral supplements. Making sense of vitamins and minerals, choosing the foods and nutrients you need to stay healthy explains the evidence behind the benefits and safety profiles of various vitamins and minerals. It also includes the recommended minimum and maximum amounts you should consume, as well as good food sources of each. And I'll send that link. Matter of fact, it's on the main channel. This is from Harvard. Now, they say the FDA has a limited role in DTC advertising, direct to consumer. FDA regulations require this. I mean, again, it's coming from Harvard, take it or not. FDA regulations require that advertising be accurate, I disagree with that, and promote only approved drugs for approved conditions, called indications. Additionally, ads must state medication risk and ways to get more information. The FDA's goal is to assure prescription drug information is truthful, balanced, and accurately communicated. A lofty aim that, well, receives mixed reviews.
Yeah.
John, on average, they spend on prescription drug ads nearly $10 billion a year, and it's rising. This is from Harvard University, actually Harvard Health, to be exact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe it. It's true, and you know the people. Well, it's always about money. You can trace the whole thing back to corporations and big money wanting to make more money, and people. And what do people want? Giving the people what they want, whether they need it or not, is not important. It's what can we sell to you. You know, that's how I'm looking at it.
Right.
You have to be a cautious purchaser of stuff like this. You know, you really do. You have to take it and think very carefully before you just jump onto something that sounds good. Okay, I'm going to go. Really, you have to research this stuff to be safe for yourself. You know, save yourself from all the agony. You know, because it can hurt you. It can kill you. I mean, really. Have a mind of your own and use it. You know.
You raised another good point about having a mind of your own. When you see these drug commercials, and I know we just went over the amount within a span of time that you wrote down, and again, nobody has to answer. But when you're watching TV or whatever it is you're doing, maybe it's one of your shows, a dinner show, whatever, and I think I said this in the monologue, but can you actually recall how many times, and not doing what John did, but how many times you actually see a drug commercial? I'm going to tell you the answer. 9 out of 10 you don't. And then you got to ask yourself,
Subliminal. Yeah.
why? Why can't you? You know you see them. There are threads on Reddit and every place else about how aggravating and frustrating people are about these drug commercials. But can you honestly sit there and think to yourself, just last night you were watching a show, how many drug commercials did you see? You can't recall it.
No, because you're not really tuned into wanting. That's not a statistic that you want to do. You're watching the program. It may be aggravating, but all commercials are aggravating when you're trying to watch programming. You know.
Yeah.
And they're trying to squeeze in as much sales as they can, and it's subliminal too.
That's the word
what they
I'm looking
do
for.
is, yep. What they do is they put it in your head. You think you haven't seen it, but your head has seen it. You go to the grocery store or wherever you're at, a pharmaceutical, wherever you're at, the drugstore, and you see it on the shelf, and it immediately registers, oh, I heard about that on TV in the back of your head. Maybe I should try it. No matter what the product is, that's the way they advertise stuff. You know, you may not even need it, but it sounds good, so let's try it. You know, human nature.
It is, but you hit the key word, and I think Kat said there actually is a statistic, Kat, that you put the number up there. Kat said every 7 minutes. She's close. I don't know the exact amount, but it's not that far. I know that I think it's like every 2 to 3 commercials, I think. And again, what I just read from Harvard, it's getting more prominent. So basically, almost now every other commercial, and I'll tell you, even when we do our shows and everything, guys, what you guys may not realize is that when you're watching the show after it's already been on live, we get ads. Okay? And I watch, some playbacks and stuff. A good portion of those are for drugs. It's on the radio. It's everywhere you go. And I think it's right up to the point now, John, where it's every other freaking commercial. The worst part is if we as adults really don't pay attention, we see it, but subconsciously it gets stored in there. That's intentional. It's like back in the old days when you had the drive-in movie theaters, John. You'd be sitting there, and then you wouldn't see it, but they would have a hamburger or a hot dog fly across the big screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consciously, you wouldn't see it. Subconsciously, you did. Or they'd have different colors, hence the golden arch. Or food restaurants, they're colored red. Why? Red makes you hungry.
Well, that's all about how you advertise if you're an advertiser.
Yes.
And that's important. There's nothing wrong with advertising. And they're trying to sell something. That's their job. Mm-hmm. That's okay. What I'm upset with is the amount of singular. There's no room anymore for Heinz ketchup. Or you know what I'm saying? Or for something that, you barely see any laundry detergents and anything like that. There's not room because the drugs have taken over the TV. And that's the truth. Drugs, lawyers, and cars have taken over the TV. There's nothing else that can fit in because they can't afford it. Only these big corporations can afford what commercials cost now. So the little guy rarely gets on because they can't afford to do a commercial like that. And once again, it goes back to money. If you've got money to spend, the TV stations are going to take your money. And if you've got more money than the next guy, they're going to take the big guy's money. That's just the way it works. It's all human stuff. And
shameful, but it's true. The world runs on money.
Well,
And,
Shar just put up a text here, John. I don't know if you can read that. I think she said in 2016, 663,000.
yeah,
Holy.
easily believable for 1 year. Yeah, easy.
663,000.
Yeah.
Wow. See,
And we should be,
That's,
it's our responsibility to take and look at it for what it is and deal with it or not deal with it. That's us. It's all back to us, really, because we do live in a country where we have choice. Whether and that's a good thing, but we need to control what we do. We need to be careful of what we see because everybody's selling something. It seems like you got to be careful.
But with all those drug ads, and the reason that we wanted to do this topic was because it's not just about the aggravation of seeing all these commercials too, but the other thing is this is one of these topics that, for me personally, it touches home because certain people that I've known, John made a good point, and he's right. It has to be, you have to be aware, you have to make up your own decisions. Yeah, United States, we live in a free country. But at the same time, it's almost like I gave a talk once about you become what you think about, right?
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Kind of relevant to you become a product of your own environment if you allow it. If the environment's bad and if you allow yourself to be subjected to those bad surroundings of that environment, hence that's your outcome, vice versa. The really disturbing part is, and again, the reason I asked everybody if you can remember how many times you see it, chances are you don't, where it's subliminal. What the concerning part is the kids, or those that may be
Right.
not so mentally acute to discerning the difference. Matter of fact, I'll give you an example. Not too long ago, they had kids that were getting into their parents, whether drug cabinets, medicine cabinets, whatever. And when you look at the commercial, this, in my opinion, John, this is the crap that they need to focus on and change. If you want to spend that amount of money on it, whatever, I get they're making billions and trillions. But a little respect and common sense, which I know they don't care about the people, they want the money. But when you take a friggin' drug that you can't walk into a store and just ask for, you have to have it prescribed, and you make that commercial with the little kid, the dog, and a picnic. You and I have talked about this. I said this earlier on. It looks harmless. It looks like it's inviting.
Yes.
Right? And you have a 10-year-old.
That's the evil of it. That's the evil of it to me.
Yes. But now you have a young child, maybe that home that they live in has that exact drug. And that kid sees that drug, and he relates that to the commercial that they seen.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with this pill. It's harmless. Look, they're playing with a puppy. They're having a cookout. They're having friends, family. As stupid as what I just said sounds, that's how stupid their commercials are. Because
that's right.
That's the impression, and this stuff pisses me off. That's the impression they give. And I know this because it happened to my nephew. That's the impression they give out. And I will argue with anybody that if you're going to sit there and spin a commercial and advertise that it doesn't, you're full of it.
Right. And they emphasize the one good thing that drug may do. But almost always, if you listen carefully, and you have to listen carefully because they de-emphasize all the contraindications of that drug. At the end of the thing, or underneath in little fine print, you'll see it scrolling across the bottom of the commercials. This may kill you. This may do not use it in the sunlight, or all kinds of crap that they say that are worse. 10 times more than the thing that it's good for. And my thinking is, why would you take something that has 10 times the chance of hurting you and only 1% of the chance of making you feel good? What good is that drug at all? That's how I look at it. And I shy away from anything like that.
Absolutely, John. Absolutely. And why don't they, say, okay, let's make a commercial about, I don't know, garlic. Now, I love garlic. I eat raw garlic, and my wife thinks it's disgusting.
I love garlic, too. It's good for you.
Why don't you ever see, other than Balance of Nature, but why don't you ever see commercials with natural foods that, again, you don't have to be a licensed
I
herbalist.
can tell you why. I know the answer.
Right, I know you know the answer, but that's my point. Why aren't we flooded with natural herbs, garlic, onions, lemon, stuff that actually is known to cure basic ailments, cold, all that? Well, not cure a cold, but you understand what I'm saying. Why aren't we bombarded with those things? Why?
Because they don't make as much money for people.
Yep. Exactly.
That's exactly why.
Yep. So you take that, and again, I get aggravated, John, and I know you do too. You and I have the same feeling about this topic. Is, for me, it's more personal. And I know there are millions of people out there that have similar thoughts. When you have a child, or again, somebody who doesn't have that mental acuity, and they are relating that drug commercial to something that is calm, family-orientated, all that stuff, fun, loving, hugging, and they turn around, and God forbid they see that same exact pill wherever they're living, and they take it, and yeah, you can argue, well, the parents should have had it locked up. Yeah, maybe they should have had it somewhere else. Maybe they should have put it in a safe behind 3 feet of concrete, too. But, I mean, come on. Reality is, what they're doing is they're pushing this stuff down people's throats. And it's not to get you healthier, in my opinion.
For profit. Yes, that's exactly right.
Because
that's how I view them.
Yeah, if that was the case, then again, I go back to my garlic commercial. Push garlic.
Yep.
What's a kid going to break in the refrigerator and eat a garlic clove? I mean, come on. But you see, that's the reason why when you see a lot of people, and a lot of this information where I learn a lot of my stuff from actually comes from people who are in the medical field, who were, say, pediatricians, doctors. And there's a couple that I watch who actually wrote books, and they compare the differences. And they actually stepped away from the medical field because, in their opinion, they wanted to treat people. They said, we got into helping people. I didn't get into and go to school and have a student loan debt and all that stuff. He goes on to say, just so I can write out drugs to people.
Right.
I got into the medical profession so I can care for people, so I can listen to them, so I can help them become healthier, become better, whatever the problem is. And so there's a lot of people, I think, no matter what line of work you're in, no matter what your profession is, whatever, that feels the same way, and then you're seeing it on TV, and it does. It's you'll never look at a drug commercial again after the show the same way you do.
That's right. That's exactly right. I guarantee you, you're going when it comes on TV, you're going to think twice about it and look hard at it because it's I want to say it's comical, but because it's when you get to the point as you get older, and I'm 75. As you get older, you start to look at things differently. And I noticed I would have been taken in by this at the younger me. But you know what? With age comes wisdom. And when you look at stuff like this, you start to question it more. You stop taking everything for face value, and you start to question things. And I think that's a practice that we all need to get into, because nowadays, if you don't question it, you become a victim. You could become a victim easily if you don't question everything.
Yes,
and the commercials included. You know.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, and again, guys, sorry if John and I sound overexcited about this, but we are
It's
passionate about
I'm
this.
just passionate about it, that's all.
We're passionate about it, and, you know,
Yeah.
again, we want to have interesting topics and stuff like that, but we also want people to understand and to be able to, like John said it earlier, and he's so right, you have to be able to make your own choices and have an argument for what you believe or what you feel is right. The old saying goes, nobody knows you better than you. And I give you guys a perfect example, and I'm going to play this next spoof. Years ago, after we had our house fire in 2014, in 2015, my wife, she had open heart surgery, not even a year after we had the house fire, okay? And she went to the hospital, not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times. On the 4th time, the hospital threatened to call security on us. Now, I will confess that back then, I didn't know as much or have as much information as I do now. So, I put my trust in these medical professionals to diagnose and say, there's nothing really wrong with you. You're having anxiety. It's this, it's that, the other. The 4th time, they kicked her out of the hospital. Now, at the time, we were living in a rental home that our insurance was paying for. It happened again. I immediately called the ambulance. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I was getting aggravated because I kept thinking that it's anxiety and she's maybe building it up bigger than what it needs to be and she's overstressing, okay? You want to talk about feeling like an asshole? I did. To this day, I still do. But I put my trust in the people that I thought had her best interest and knew what they were doing. I says to the EMT, while she was in the ambulance in front of the house, they kept telling her it's anxiety. I said, no, it's not. Take her to the Lawrence General, which is part of Boston Mass Hospital now. I want her going there. Well, guess what? She was 98% blocked. Okay? Immediately, that surgeon said, you're not going anywhere. And I had explained to him what happened prior. He called that hospital and reamed them a new ass. And he goes, I have a good attorney if you want one. Now, lesson learned. And, you know, I'm sharing this with everybody, John, because a lot of times we put our trust in the very things that actually hurt us. And it's not to say that every doctor, every hospital, every pill is like that. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is you have to be able to use reason, common sense, and if it doesn't make sense, chances are it's not right. So be your own best advocate. And it's okay, to trust doctors. We need doctors, right? And there's a lot of medicine.
Be informed. Do research. Don't just accept anything at face value. Do research the situation.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, John. And since that day, okay, to this day, okay, if, God forbid, she says something, whatever, I listen now. And I take her at her word. You want to know why? She knows her body better than any doctor. And back then, again, I put my trust in the very people who were supposed to save lives. Had I not, that day, taking her somewhere else, who knows what would have happened? She was 98% blocked. You know, we went through a lot of stress with the house fire. She lost her younger brother 2 months prior to that, after the house fire. So there was a lot. So, again, guys, for everybody watching too, it's all about, like what John said, you have to stay informed. Don't believe everything you see and hear just because it's on TV. It doesn't matter. Who cares? That's the biggest.
Yeah, and Charlene makes a good point. She said that the FDA wants companies to provide information that's truthful and not misleading. Well, that's very true. I believe that. But the thing is that these commercials we're talking about are not misleading. I mean, they're truthful. They say everything they have to say, but they say it in a way that becomes misleading. Yes, misleading is the key word. That they do. But they always give you truthful information. That's why they're required to give you those contraindications, but they do it under their breath because they want you to ignore that part. And they raise their voice and tell you all about the joys of taking their pill to get rid of your arthritis or whatever the heck you got. It's just, it's deceitful. Deceitful is the word, yeah.
Do you know, John, that I'm not going to mention the names, but they're pretty big. They manufacture drugs, they manufacture certain vaccines and all that stuff here in the United States. Do you know that even the CEOs won't take their own drugs? That they push and manufacture on TV, they won't even take them.
Politicians don't take their own insurance either. They don't. They don't take our
right,
insurance. They got
right, exactly. So what is
it's
that?
All the same.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you know what? John Charlene is right about that. Do you ever hear a car commercial about the APR and all that stuff and everything else, and it goes by so fast? You're trying to read the 2.5-inch text size, and the
You're
guy's
right, Kathy.
He's talking like an auctioneer.
Yeah.
Well, they say it, but like you said, it's manipulated. So it's all in rewording everything to make it sound like they could have literally said in a drug commercial, they could have literally said, okay, if you take this, chances are you could end up with clogged arteries. But the way they word it and the picture going behind it, such as I mentioned, right, with the family, everybody having a good time, you're not hearing that.
No, it's an afterthought. They make sure that you realize it's just an afterthought.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's actually a lot of good points here that I'm trying to read in the text. Let's get to a funner side. John, I think you guys are going to like this funny one here. I saved this funny one here for last. All right, guys, let's take a watch at this funny spoof. I think this might be the one. Here we go.
You have a moderate to severe disease that a lot of people suffer from. So, I'm taking this nondescript pill on a daily basis because I've seen the same commercial over 50 times in a single week saying it's my best option. Now, I'm ready for the world.
This medication can help people achieve and maintain a normal state of being. It has also been shown to treat your symptoms and not the cause in just one day. This medication has been approved by the FDA, so you can bet your bottom dollar it's 100% safe. Don't take this medication if you've had a stomachache, headache, or gas in the past 3 months. This medication may cause serious side effects, including infections that can lead to suicidal thoughts, unexpected nosebleeds, financial debt, loss of health insurance, impaired vision and hearing, delusional behavior, rapid sneezing, scaly skin, flu-like symptoms, a rare brain disease with no known cure, excessive hair on the tongue, mysterious episodes of teleportation, dizziness, uncontrollable laughter, unexpected impregnation in males, rectal implosion, extreme weight loss, sudden weight gain, violent episodes of coughing, swelling of the fingers, stroke, heart attack, internal bleeding, loss of fingers, failure of the immune system, loss of eyelashes, inability to do what medicine claims to help with, and death. But don't worry, this drug has been FDA approved. Tell your doctor if you're pregnant or ever plan to be any time in the future. Don't let moderate to severe diseases ruin your life. Add our nondescript pill to your regimen so you can live your life with one more thing to worry about.
I used to struggle with my moderate to severe disease, but now all I do are random activities in front of a camera for this ad.
Be ready for the world. It's nondescript.
That one right there gets me. It's
Yeah.
it's way over the top.
You know what's good about it? I'll tell you what's good about that is that is really the positive thing about these farces, commercials that they're putting out like that. Just shows that people are aware of what this crap is going on, and they're making fun of it, which is good.
Good point, man. Yeah, you know what? I never thought of that. You're right.
Yeah. They wouldn't be making it if they didn't think it was all a big joke themselves. So like, you don't feel so all alone. You know what I mean? I can think, is it just me, or is this crazy?
It's tech is the word I'm looking for. The parodies that they make. So everything I just played, guys, is on the main channel of Stumble In. I did put the links there, all right, for you guys, as well as the Harvard studies and stuff, and all the other stuff that we played earlier. But I never thought of it that way, John. You're right, because when I was researching a lot of this, there were so many. I mean, I could literally do, John, we could do a whole month every day for 24 hours a day just on this topic alone. And still have enough material.
Right.
Right? And
it's the world we live in. It's the world we live in, and it's all around us. And I find it, when you're aware of it, it's funny.
Right.
It's really funny because I know I'm not going to be affected by it because I know how to look at it now.
Yes.
Oh, that's how I look at it.
And that's the whole point, and I'm glad that you said that, because our objective, aside from, and yeah, I joke around, I call it the New Learning Channel. That's my humor. But in reality, we can have fun talking about serious things.
Indeed.
And what John just said, I never even thought of, and it really is good. That when he looks at a commercial, now, it's going to be in a different way. Same with me.
It's like Saturday Night Live. It's like you're watching a Saturday Night Live.
Right? Exactly.
Yep.
So that was our goal, guys, is to hope that everybody, if you learned something, I know I personally did, I learned quite a bit. If you learned something, awesome. And if you took away from it some happiness and fun, despite of all of the serious stuff behind it, I mean, why not? If drug commercials can put out a serious ad and joke around about it, why can't we? The difference is we actually care about people. And we're actually doing this to enlighten people because we care about you guys. And John and I aren't educators. We don't know all the facts, right? I can't sit here and state for a fact that this is what the FDA does or this drug company does. I can't do that. Why? I'll be sued. But I can give you my opinion. John can give his opinion. You guys are entitled to your opinion. And that's what's great about doing these things. And I think that everybody can agree, though, the one thing that everybody should do, we stress it all the time, is be your own advocate, be educated, be learned, know what you need to know before you make decisions. Not just about the drugs, but obviously about everything. But tonight, it is about the drugs. It is about the commercials. John's biggest aggravation, and I agree with him, it's happened so many times. What commercial, John, what drug commercial pisses you off the most? Is like the most aggravating one.
The one where they come dancing in the office and they're saying, I have type 2 diabetes, but I'm here to say, the whole office starts to dance and stroll down the aisle like, like it was, and it just drives me nuts. I'm thinking, oh, you're happy about having type 2 diabetes because this pill is going to take care of you. Give me a break, But, it's quite good. I'll tell you something else, though, about commercials. This is the thing, we're talking about commercials.
Yeah.
I have commercials that will literally bring me to tears.
Yes.
There are commercials that I can see that, like, I don't know if y'all, I mean, we have Publix supermarkets down here. I don't know where they're at elsewhere, but here in Florida, they have the best commercials at Christmas time that I've ever seen in my life. I swear I want to come to tears every time I see one, no matter what the year is. It's different every year, and it's always a family event. And they're, you know, like, I think the last one, the thing they got this year is about the little kid wanting to eat at the big table for Thanksgiving, I think it was, they had it. He wanted to eat at the big table instead of the little table with the kids. And the dad said, sure, we'll try that this year. And he sits at the big table, and then the kid is seeing all the other kids sitting at the little table, and he hears all the big adult talk going on the at the table that he's at. And he says, and he's thinking to himself, gee, maybe I made a mistake. And so the dad says, why don't you go watch those take care of that for me, and watch these other kids down there at the kids' table. And he looks around and he says, yeah, okay, I'll do that. He was real happy that his dad said that. And they took and looked at each other, the look that they have at each other, the knowing look of, you know, you're in your right place at the right time, and you're a good kid, and you're a good dad. Everything it made me melt. I mean, maybe I'm silly, but I'll cry at something like that, because I think it's just precious to see that kind of emotion in people. And that commercial makes me, I'll go buy something at Publix, because I like it. I mean, that's how I look at it. So it's not all bad. They've got some good commercials too.
Yes.
You know, but
yes, I do agree. There's, I would have to say, there is one that's kind of like, it's so stupid it's funny. But like overall commercials, if you're not talking, you know, like prescription drugs, like overall commercials, I love some of the insurance commercials. Yeah. Those are just like some of them, and you know, they actually do that. They actually compete. Rather, it's not. It's like when I see a certain, you know, I don't know, insurance commercial come on, John, and you say it's Progressive or something, or all, like Mayhem for Allstate. Yeah. Right. Or Emu. Doug and Emu, right?
Completely ridiculous, but you know, it's still
it sticks. Yeah, it sticks. And then, you know what it is, and it's so relative to what we're talking about, is when you're watching the commercials, and it's so skilled, such a craft that they have. When you're watching those commercials, you're not thinking insurance. Right? You're not thinking, oh crap, I gotta go call my insurance company. No, you know it's insurance, but it's the gimmick, right? It's the craft.
It has absolutely nothing to do with insurance. I mean, Emu. I mean, well, what about Progressive? This one, they don't have anything to say about the insurance really. There's just a little comedy act going on, and yet people, it sticks in your mind.
It does stick in your mind. Yep. And that's the whole point, is it stays there, and when you go somewhere or whatever, you're like, oh, hey, you know, I know this or I know that. That's the whole point of it. It's like hearing a jingle, right? And then later on,
that's why they do it.
Yeah.
That's why they do it, to get you to buy stuff. That's what advertising is all about. You know, and that's what they have to do. But you have to be a smart interpreter of that when you get it, when it comes at you. You know, I think.
I definitely agree. And I will say this, that the one commercial, I change the channel every single time, is, well, there's two, but there's one that I can't watch. John, I can't. It has nothing to do with the drugs, but it's that song, In the Arms of an Angel, with the puppies.
Oh, I know it. I don't like that either.
I cannot watch that commercial. And you know what aggravates me the most about one of the largest adoption places in my area? Found out they're a kill center. And I used to donate to them, right? And I haven't in the longest time, because when my little princess, Xena, went to go get her fixed, they denied it and said we had to wait, all this, you know, it was after COVID or whatever the whole crap was. Long story short, then I find out that they're a kill shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, really? But yet it would cost to even adopt an animal. You pretty much have to do a 3-part investigation. It feels like the FBI's coming to your house. You're signing over your mortgage. You're getting a blood test. You got to show them your driver's license. The kids, the family.
I adopted a kid at 3 months old, and it was easy.
It was easier adopting a child than getting an animal.
Yep. That's the truth.
All right, guys, I'm going to play this one last ad, and then we're going to let everybody bounce. This is just going to take us back a little bit. A lot of people might or might not remember this commercial, but let me see. Did I already play that one? No. Here it is, if your throat ever hurts you.
Sure, they help your throat, but what about your poor nose? Now, there's a new kind of cough drop. New Victor's. It's the only cough drop made with thousands of pockets of cooling menthol eucalyptus vapors. When you suck on one, it works 2 places. The vapors help your stuffy nose feel cooler and clearer, and Victor's medications quickly soothe your scratchy throat. Victor's cough drops. When you take them for your throat, your nose knows.
That's right, your nose knows, your brain knows. Good night, Bev. Thank you. Well, John, that concludes our Stumble In podcast topic for this evening. And
I literally stumbled in.
And John literally stumbled in. That's right, he did.
I did.
So in closing, John, do you have anything to say to everybody? Because not everybody really gets to hear you.
Well, you can hear me anytime you want. Yeah, I sing all the time. But yeah, I thanks everybody for coming out and listening to us on Stumble In, because we really are trying to get this show off the road, and it's getting better every week. We get a little bit better at it. So
that's right.
Denny does a good job with it, and we hope to see you this Friday at the other show, and I'm glad you came out to listen to us tonight.
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate you being here with me as well. John always he goes on these crazy adventures with me. And yeah, Friday, yeah, that's right. It is Denver versus Manilow versus Denver. We got quite a few entries already, huh?
We have 13 entries already, and we can only do about 15, 16. So 3 more, and we're about done. It's only Tuesday, so y'all have been great.
Yeah, yep. And like I said, if we reach that cap, then we just extend it to the following Friday.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
Well, it would only seem fair, you know.
Yep.
But again, yeah, like John said, we do have quite a bit of entries in there, guys, and today's only Tuesday. So come the middle.
Keep them coming.
Yep, that's it. Keep sending them in. And then, like I said, by Thursday is the cutoff date, 12 noon Eastern Central Time. That's me.
Right.
And if we reach that limit, then, of course, email will go out. And then what we will do is we will then divide it and then have the first half Friday and then the second half the following Friday to be fair to everybody. Sound good? Sound good.
Sounds good to me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that right there is myself, Denny Cool and Argent. Thank you for joining us on this podcast of Stumble In.
My pleasure.
We thank everybody. We'll see you guys Friday. Thank you so much, everybody. As always, be kind to others and be kind to yourself.